Dr. Lisa froze when she saw the animal brought in for the night call. This wasn't just an exotic parrot. It was a Carolina parakeet, extinct since 1918. 17 years of Fish and Wildlife Service experience told her exactly what this meant. "This is from an extinct species," she murmured, "and someone is doing illegal genetic cloning." Before we dive into this incredible story, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if this story moves you, make sure to subscribe because tomorrow I have something very special planned for you. Riverside Emergency Veterinary Clinic stood as a beacon for pet owners facing after-hours crises, its warm lights cutting through the darkness at 2:30 a.m. on a Thursday. The 24-hour facility served a community of families, ranchers, and wildlife enthusiasts who needed professional veterinary care when regular clinics were closed. Dr. Lisa Park had been working the overnight shift for 3 years, ever since she'd moved to Colorado, seeking a quieter life than her previous career had provided. At 41, she'd found genuine satisfaction in helping animals and their worried owners during emergency situations, providing the kind of compassionate care that made difficult nights manageable for everyone involved. The clinic was modern and well-equipped, designed to handle everything from routine emergencies to complex surgical procedures. Lisa's experience made her valuable for cases that required specialized knowledge, and pet owners had come to trust her judgment during their animals' most critical moments. Tonight's shift had been typical until 2:15 a.m. A dog with suspected poisoning, a cat with respiratory distress, and a horse with colic. Lisa moved through her cases with systematic precision that most people attributed to excellent veterinary training and years of emergency medicine experience. What clients didn't realize was that Lisa's approach to animal care had been shaped by 17 years as a Fish and Wildlife Service special agent specializing in illegal wildlife trade. Her ability to identify species, recognize smuggling indicators, and understand international wildlife trafficking patterns, all skills learned during years of investigating the world's most sophisticated animal smuggling operations. When the phone rang at 2:15 a.m. with reports of an exotic bird in distress, Lisa expected another routine emergency call. The caller, David Martinez, explained that his recently acquired parrot was showing signs of illness and needed immediate attention. David Martinez arrived 20 minutes later carrying what appeared to be a beautiful, colorful parrot in obvious respiratory distress. Lisa began her standard emergency examination, carefully observing the bird's breathing, posture, and feather condition. But within seconds her trained eye recognized something that made her freeze completely. The bird's coloration, size, and distinctive features weren't just unusual, they were impossible. Lisa was looking at what appeared to be a Carolina parakeet, a species that had been officially extinct since 1918. She'd studied these birds extensively during her Fish and Wildlife Service career, investigating historical wildlife crimes and illegal specimen trades, memorizing every detail of plumage patterns, beak shape, and wing structure. Now, confronted with a living example, her mind struggled to process the reality. "Mr. Martinez," Lisa said carefully, keeping her voice steady despite the shock, "where did you acquire this bird?" "Online purchase," David replied nervously, shifting his weight and avoiding her gaze. The seller said it was a rare South American species. Paid $15,000 for breeding purposes. Lisa's 17 years of wildlife enforcement experience immediately recognized the signs of someone who'd been deceived in an illegal transaction. Nervous behavior, the vague explanation, and the unusually high purchase price were all classic indicators of wildlife trafficking operations that preyed on unsuspecting buyers. She noted the subtle tension in his shoulders and the quick flicker of worry across his face, small tells that confirmed her suspicions. But the bird itself presented a scientific impossibility that challenged everything Lisa thought she knew about extinct species. Either she was misidentifying the bird, which seemed extremely unlikely given her specialized training, or someone, somewhere, had achieved something that the scientific community believed was utterly impossible. Genetic resurrection? Undocumented survival in a hidden habitat? Lisa forced herself to stay focused, running through the improbable scenarios in her head while keeping her hands steady. She continued her examination, gently checking the bird's airway and listening for wheezing or abnormal sounds. The condition was serious, requiring immediate medical intervention, but the implications of its existence were staggering. A single, living Carolina parakeet could rewrite parts of conservation biology, ignite debates in scientific circles, and raise urgent legal questions about wildlife trade and endangered species protections. As Lisa carefully stabilized the bird, she knew that the next steps would require not just veterinary skill, but discretion, investigation, and a level of secrecy that could make or break her career. Lisa's veterinary examination revealed details that deepened the mystery rather than resolving it. The bird showed signs of genetic manipulation that suggested advanced laboratory procedures, including surgical implant sites that had been professionally closed and were now nearly invisible. "Mr. Martinez, I need to ask you some specific questions about this bird's background," Lisa said, drawing blood samples for analysis that would go far beyond routine veterinary gentle questioning. David revealed details that painted a troubling picture. The seller had been evasive about the bird's origins. The transaction had been conducted through encrypted communications, and David had been specifically instructed never to take the bird to mainstream veterinary clinics. Lisa's fish and wildlife service training had taught her to recognize the operational security measures that sophisticated wildlife trafficking organizations use to protect their illegal activities. David had unknowingly become part of a network that was operating at the intersection of wildlife, smuggling, and genetic manipulation. "This bird requires specialized treatment," Lisa told David. "I need to keep it overnight for observation and testing." What she didn't tell him was that she also needed time to verify what appeared to be a scientific breakthrough that could revolutionize understanding of extinction, genetic engineering, and wildlife conservation. The implications were too significant to handle through normal veterinary channels. Lisa's phone buzzed with David's contact information, but she was already planning calls to federal agencies that most veterinarians never needed to contact. Lisa's first call was to a number she'd memorized, but never expected to use again. The Fish and Wildlife Service maintains contact protocols for retired agents who might encounter situations requiring their specialized expertise. The response was immediate and urgent. Dr. Lisa Park, agent number 3847, retired 2021, she said when the secure line connected. "I have a Carolina parakeet in my veterinary clinic. Alive." The silence on the other end stretched for several seconds before Agent Sarah Mitchell responded. "Lisa, you said Carolina parakeet? The extinct species. Confirmed identification based on morphological characteristics consistent with museum specimens, but showing evidence of genetic manipulation and laboratory procedures. This isn't a misidentification. This is something unprecedented." Within 4 hours, Lisa found herself briefing a team of federal agents, wildlife biologists, and genetic specialists about what appeared to be evidence of illegal de-extinction research being conducted outside legitimate scientific oversight. "Your preliminary analysis suggests this bird was produced through genetic engineering techniques," Dr. James Chun from the National Wildlife Forensics Laboratory observed, studying Lisa's documentation. "Surgical implant sites, genetic markers inconsistent with natural development, and behavioral patterns suggesting laboratory conditioning," Lisa confirmed. "Someone has successfully recreated an extinct species using methods that aren't being reported through official scientific channels." The implications were staggering. If the technology existed to recreate extinct species, it could revolutionize conservation efforts. But conducting such research outside legal frameworks raised serious questions about safety, ethics, and potential misuse of genetic engineering capabilities. Lisa's discovery triggered a federal investigation that revealed a sophisticated network operating at the intersection of genetic engineering, wildlife trafficking, and illegal scientific research. Her veterinary clinic had unknowingly become a crucial piece of evidence in understanding how the operation functioned. The buyer, David Martinez, appears to be an unwitting participant, Agent Mitchell explained during Lisa's briefing. He's one of approximately 30 people who've purchased what they believed were rare but legal exotic birds. Lisa's analysis of the bird's medical condition provided insights that were crucial for understanding the scope of the operation. The genetic manipulation was sophisticated enough to suggest access to advanced laboratory facilities and significant financial backing. This isn't amateur genetic tinkering, Lisa explained to the investigation. The surgical procedures, the genetic modifications, the conditioning protocols, this represents years of research and development by people with advanced scientific training. Working with federal investigators, Lisa helped develop a profile of the organization that could conduct such research. The requirements included access to genetic laboratories, funding for expensive equipment, connections to illegal wildlife specimen sources, and knowledge of both extinct species biology and current genetic engineering techniques. Your expertise in wildlife trafficking patterns has been invaluable, Dr. Chin told Lisa. Most veterinarians wouldn't recognize the indicators you've identified. The federal investigation, guided by Lisa's initial analysis, led to the discovery of a clandestine laboratory conducting genetic de-extinction research using illegally obtained specimens and funding sources. The operation had successfully recreated several extinct species, but was selling them through black market channels rather than contributing to legitimate conservation efforts. They've essentially weaponized de-extinction technology, Agent Mitchell explained to Lisa during the case briefing. Instead of using it for conservation, they're treating extinct species as luxury commodities for wealthy collectors. Lisa's Carolina parakeet was one of 12 successfully recreated extinct birds that had been sold to private buyers across 4 states. The laboratory had been planning to expand into extinct mammal species before the investigation shut down their operations. Your quick recognition of the species and your understanding of wildlife trafficking indicators broke this case open, Dr. Chun told Lisa. Without your expertise, these birds might have disappeared into private collections forever. The arrests included 5 geneticists, 3 wildlife traffickers, and 2 financial coordinators who've been funding the operation through cryptocurrency transactions. The laboratory equipment was seized, and the surviving recreated animals were transferred to legitimate research facilities where their genetic information could contribute to authorized conservation efforts. David Martinez and other buyers were cleared of criminal charges, having been unknowing participants in the trafficking network. The Carolina parakeet in Lisa's care became the first officially recognized de-extinct species to be studied under legal scientific oversight. Lisa's discovery had implications that extended far beyond a single wildlife trafficking case. The successful recreation of extinct species opened new possibilities for conservation biology while raising ethical questions about genetic engineering and species preservation. This changes our understanding of what's possible in conservation science, Dr. Chun explained during a conference call that included leading geneticists and conservation biologists. But it also demonstrates the need for strict oversight of de-extinction research. Lisa found herself consulting with scientific organizations, government agencies, and conservation groups about the implications of her discovery. Her unique combination of veterinary expertise and wildlife trafficking knowledge made her valuable for developing policies to prevent future misuse of genetic engineering technologies. The Carolina parakeet is thriving under controlled conditions, Lisa reported to the scientific consortium studying the bird. Its genetic health appears stable, and its behavior suggests successful integration of historical species characteristics. 6 months later, Lisa had returned to her veterinary practice with new appreciation for the ongoing nature of wildlife protection. The animals she treated weren't just pets and livestock. Some could be evidence of scientific breakthroughs that needed protection from exploitation. Lisa continued her work at Riverside Emergency Veterinary Clinic, now with heightened awareness of how genetic engineering and wildlife trafficking could intersect in ways few professionals ever anticipated. Her discovery had already prompted the creation of new protocols for veterinarians to identify and report potential de-extinction research, ensuring that no suspicious or impossible-looking species went unnoticed. People think veterinary work is just about treating sick animals, Lisa explained to her colleagues during a training session on spotting illegal wildlife. But we're also guardians of scientific integrity and conservation ethics. Every unusual case could reveal something bigger, something that changes our understanding of biology and conservation. Her phone buzzed with a secure message from Agent Mitchell. New case involving suspicious reptile shipments. Could use your expertise on species identification. Lisa felt a familiar spark of professional urgency. She glanced at her clinic schedule, weighed the trust her community had placed in her, and texted back, "I'll review the evidence tonight." Some discoveries change everything. Lisa's recognition of an extinct bird had not only demonstrated the astonishing potential of genetic engineering, but it also exposed the dark, unregulated side of de-extinction technology. Each day since, her work had become a careful balancing act, protecting individual animals while guarding the integrity of conservation science. Dr. Lisa Park, former Fish and Wildlife Service agent and vigilant protector of both domestic and scientifically significant species, continued her work one patient at a time, one protected species at a time. She knew that the most profound scientific discoveries often came to those who could recognize the impossible and act on it responsibly. Sometimes, the most crucial conservation work happens in the quiet hours at 3 a.m. in emergency veterinary clinics, under the hum of fluorescent lights, guided by people who never stopped being guardians of the natural world, aware that every decision could ripple across the delicate web of life. Have you ever encountered something that challenged what you thought was scientifically possible? Share your stories in the comments below, and let us know what city you're watching from today, that if this story of impossible discovery and scientific protection resonated with you. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. And don't miss the 2 compelling stories appearing on your screen right now. Click and discover more tales of everyday heroes with extraordinary knowledge. Because sometimes the most important scientific breakthroughs are recognized first by people who know what shouldn't exist but does. See you in the next videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe.